Hello again and welcome to my channel, Doctor Teacher Mom. Today we'll be looking at how writers use language to create tension. So the lesson objective today is to be able to identify and analyze how tension is created by the writer. Tension is when situations or atmospheres are created which evoke some sort of emotion in the reader. And these emotions can often be fear, surprise, or suspense. So let's begin. I want you to read the extract and consider how tension is created. As usual, I will leave this extract as a link in the description box so you can annotate it and label it with your own ideas. Remember to focus on the language and the structure of the text. So this extract is from The Ghost Road by Pat Barker. The barrage was due to start in 15 minutes' time. Pryor shared a bar of chocolate with Robson, sitting hunched up together against the damp, cold mist. Then they started crawling forward. The sappers, who were burdened by materials for the construction of the pontoon bridge, were taking the lane, so the Manchesters had to advance over the waterlogged fields. The rain had stopped, but the already marshy ground had flooded in place, and over each stretch of water lay a thick blanket of mist. Concentrate on nothing by the moment, Pryor told himself, moving forward on knees and elbows like a frog or a lizard or like anything except a man. Now let's focus on the language. So I have color-coded some of the language used in red. So we have barrage, which is a noun, and it already implies what is happening in the extract. Hunched, which is an adverb because it's describing the verb sitting. Damp, cold, that's a noun phrase which is describing the mist. Crawling, verb. Burdened, verb. And then we have waterlogged, which is an adjective. Advance is a verb. Marshy is an adjective. A thick blanket, that's a noun phrase. And then the last bit of the sentence, like a frog or a lizard, that is a part of a simile. So Pryor is compared to an animal or a reptile, in this case a lizard, because of the way how he is moving on his knees and elbows. I have not only given you the task, we know that the task is how does the writer use language to create tension. We have 5 questions that will help you to further unpick the extract. So let's look at them. In the first sentence, which word tells you what is going to happen? And we know that the barrage, that's the word that tells us exactly what is going to happen. And we're expecting an attack because of the word barrage. What do you learn about the movement of the men in the extract? And we have a lot of verbs and adjectives that tell us the motion, how they were moving. So hunched describes the sitting position, but then we hear that they're crawling. So really moving in a slow way, a cautious way through the lane and the waterlogged fields. Which route is more difficult, the lane taken by the sappers or the fields taken by the Manchesters? The lane doesn't have any water, right? So but we hear that the Manchester had to advance over the waterlogged fields. The rain had stopped, but the already marshy ground. So already we know that it's waterlogged, it's muddy. So we already know it's going to be more difficult because it's going to be harder for them to get through that route. What do you know about the weather conditions and how will this affect the soldiers? And number 3 and number 4 are linked because we know that it's very wet, it's very muddy, and it's going to affect their progress through these fields to get where they're going. And number 5, the last sentence that begins with concentrate on nothing but the moment, Prior told himself, moving forward on knees and elbows like a frog or lizard. The description like a frog or lizard link back to what the writer has already told us. Yes, it does, because we already know that the rain has impeded their progress, and we already know they're soldiers. We already know that they're faced with a barrage and they're trying to protect themselves. So going down on all fours is going to help as a means of protection. We've thought about it. We've already looked at the language being used. Can you, before you start to have a go at writing your paragraphs, can we look at the teacher model? So I've given you a model that you can magpie from and you can use to help you to write your own. So the writer creates tension. So I've used the beginning of my question, I've manipulated it in my topic sentence so the reader will know exactly what I'm answering. I'm talking about the writer's creation of tension in the extract. So the writer creates tension by describing how Prior and Robson were hunched up together. And hunched up is from the text. So as you can see, it has quotation marks. It is my evidence. After I've given the evidence, I have to explain it, suggesting that the men are cramped and confined. All I've done is given 2 synonyms for the idea of hunched. So instead of putting hunched again in my explanation, I've replaced hunched with 2 synonyms, cramped and confined. The waiting seems to be quite dull as they have nothing to do but eat a bar of chocolate. Suddenly they are on the move. They're described as crawling forward, which suggests a slow movement. See how as I go through, I am really inferring from the text and giving my own ideas and opinions, but everything is substantiated with evidence from the text. The fact that the men have to advance over the waterlogged fields suggests that the journey is slow and uncomfortable. Again, we're replacing words and we're using our own ideas of what the writer is trying to communicate to further aid in the explanation. There's also a thick blanket of mist which would add fear of the unknown, as the men might not be able to see what lies ahead of them. Finally, Prior suggests that he is scared because he says that he needs to concentrate on nothing but the moment. This suggests that if he thinks too much about the dangers that awaits him, he'll lose his nerve. So that links to the reader effect, the effect that will be created for the reader. I am also going to link this extract, as I said, in the description box. Please download it, annotate it, and then have a go at writing your own. It would be good if you could drop me a comment and tell me how you have gotten on with this task, and if you want to suggest any other areas that you would like me to look at in my tutorials, that would also be lovely. Thanks again for staying with me. I enjoyed this tutorial so much today, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Bye!